So the last part of the line that we're going to be referencing here after we start, again, we started with line in the first lecture, and then we switched to segment. And a segment is a finite part of the line. A line is infinitely long. So the last thing that we're going to be talking about is kind of a combination of the two of them. And it's going to be array. And what array is the section of the part of a line starting at an endpoint and extending forever in one direction. The best analogy I can use is a ray of light. If you took a flashlight and turned it on, in theory, the light would extend forever and ever and ever, were it not for gravity, I believe. It would extend forever and ever and ever, but it would not extend beyond the back of the flashlight. So it would stop, it would start at the flashlight and go forever in one direction. That's array. It is infinite in length because it is going forever in that one direction. Now, when we're naming array, this is the one that proves the trickiest for people, and at least it has in the past. So you have to use, again, this is another thing. This is the third thing that we are naming with two letters. So if we haven't figured out by now that the things we put over the top of them are important, and the points that we use to name them are important, we should be thinking that now, right? We should be thinking like, okay, if I'm going to name array, how am I going to identify it? All right. So if you're talking about, let's just pretend, for the sake of argument, let's make part of this line disappear here. All right. So you got, let's just say it went, that's array. Right? It starts at B and goes throughout forever to the right, right? If we were going to name that ray, we would name it with the endpoint first. We'd always start with the endpoint, and then any point on the ray with an arrow over the top. So for this one here, this one would be named ray B, C, and then we put an arrow over the top. Starting point and then some other point on the line. So the first letter tells you where you're starting. The second letter determines the direction of the ray. The arrow over the top does not determine the direction of the ray. I want to repeat that because that's what gets people confused. It's not the arrow on the top just tells you that it is a ray, and that's it. Nothing more. But if we're talking about, I'm going to get the rest of the line back here, right? If we're talking about ray BC, if I said name 3 rays or 4 rays or however many rays you can name off of something, if I said name ray BC, or a ray, even better, a ray that goes to the right, you could say ray BC because it starts at B and goes through C. You could also, for a ray that goes to the right, you could also say ray AC. Right? Those are two different rays. One starts at A, rather, I'll look over here. One starts at A and then goes forever through C. The other starts at B and goes forever through C. So both of these rays are going, starting at a particular point, but heading right. Now, here's where we have to be careful about the details. If I said name 3 distinct rays in the picture here, we've got 2 right here, BC and BA. Sometimes people are going to do this. Oh, I'm going to name a third ray, AB. Right? These 2 rays here, ray AC and AB, are the same ray, named different ways. They both start at A and go to the right. The fact that we name one of them, it starts at A and then goes through B, but it also goes through C, but we just need to name one point to determine that direction. The same with starts at A, goes through C. Well, before it went through C, it went through B. So these 2 here, AC and AB, are not distinct names. BC and AC are, BC and AB are. And unlike segments, if you want to name a different ray, switch the order. BA is a completely different ray because it starts at B and goes forever through A, which means it's going to the left. But it's the order, it's the letters, not the direction of the arrow that determines that. That's where people have gotten tripped up in the past, right? So if you want to name 3 distinct rays, a great way to name, or any number of distinct rays, 3 different starting points is a good thing. Okay. So ray is kind of a combination of a line and a segment because there's a component of an endpoint and then there's also a component of infinite length. So that kind of combines 2 big ideas there. But naming it is probably the most particular. The line is the easiest thing to name, any 2 points. The segment is almost as easy, just pick the endpoints that you're looking at. But then the ray is very particular. It's the endpoint and then a direction point. Okay, so that's the last part of the line that we're going to be concerning ourselves with. Please let me know if you have any questions. Hope this helped.